We have football, but Sam, it's spring and it feels like winter. But anyway, football is a fall semester sport.
Not with the cherry and white game just days away. We'll take a look.
I'm Caroline Delaney, live at Edberg Olson Hall. One player that you will see at Saturday's cherry and white game is quarterback Anthony Chickett. His path to Temple is an inspiring one, centered around beating cancer twice.
And I'm Pat Dallahan, live at the Leah Corr Center. I'll have the latest on Temple's transition into a landmark change for athletics compensation that allows Temple to pay the school.
And I'm Kayla Levine, live at the studio set. On to the water we go. Later in the show, I'll be taking a look at a member of the crew team, a woman among men in the team's top boat. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another jam-packed edition of OwlSports Update. Alongside Sam Covone, I'm Sarah Winton.
It is almost time for the Temple football team to show off all the progress that has been made this spring. But first, the men's basketball roster is changing, and so is the way the Owls will be paid with NIL.
First, an update on the ever-changing roster. The men's team is undergoing major changes now that its season has ended and the transfer portal is open. The list is growing for those departing. 6 players have entered the portal, including Dylan Battie, Quante Berry, Jameel Brown, Elijah Gray, Zion Stanford, and Lynn Greer III. Berry has already committed to Memphis, which means we will see him face Temple next season, but in a different uniform. With these departures, Temple is down to just 4 scholarship players left on the roster, including Aiden Tobiasen, Mohamed Kita, and Bambatunde Duradowo. Head coach Adam Fisher now faces a critical offseason as he looks to rebuild the team that he just took over 2 seasons ago.
One way to lure players to North Broad includes an improved NIL plan. Temple is changing the way it pays its players. Pat Dallahan is live at the Leah Corr Center to explain. Hey, Pat.
Yes, Sam. It's been a busy few weeks filled with lots of news for Temple athletics, but specifically for men's basketball. With the NIL landscape shifting towards a revenue-sharing model, Temple athletics has had to adjust. The university's primary NIL fund is no more, with Temple adopting a new system called the House Settlement. In short, it will allow the university to directly pay student athletes.
For the past 3 seasons, Temple athletes, in particular men's basketball players, have relied on the Tough Fund to build their brand.
Because of our donors, we had the ability to provide opportunities for our student athletes to make impacts both in the community, and then by doing so, made their opportunities at Temple more marketable for our student athletes to come here.
But those days are over, for now, as revenue sharing takes hold across college athletics. Temple is bringing those operations in-house.
The decision comes after Temple opted into the NCAA House Settlement, which will allow the university to directly pay the players through the revenue generated by the athletic department.
And tell Jordan I said what's up.
Former director of the Tough Fund, Andy Carl, believes the shift to in-house funding is a chance for Temple to grow, but paying players is complicated. So, not everyone is confident in what comes next.
If I was grading and putting in my grades, I'd say incomplete.
John Kincaid is a Temple alum, an adjunct professor, and a host on 97.5 The Fanatic.
You don't see the corporate involvement for the community that you see in places like Alabama and Georgia and things like that, and that concerns me.
As of April 7th, the Tough Fund has officially dissolved, following the final approval of the NCAA House Settlement. The reset is underway, but players are already hitting the transfer portal. So, the university may still be taking steps backwards before it can leap forward.
Temple's athletic department had been rather quiet since announcing its new house settlement plan, leaving alumni and donors with lots of questions. But on Tuesday, Temple hosted a town hall meeting on Zoom called Elevate the Owls, where Arthur Johnson and others did their best to clear the air and answer some of these questions.
Since hearing about the pending House case, when that came up, we know now that starting July 1 of this year, we can actually sign agreements with student athletes and pay them for their name, image, and likeness, and it can all take place in-house. Supporters can donate to us. So we have been putting the infrastructure in place, and that's working with a number of areas on campus, be it our business office, with contracts, with purchasing, with payroll, with all of those areas to make sure that we have things in place. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention legal, because we're talking agreements.
The transition to the Competitive Excellence Fund is still in its early stages, but Temple is confident that the university can safely navigate these waters and catch up to its counterparts in the AAC. Reporting live from the Leah Corr Center, I'm Pat Dallahan. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Pat. We are quickly approaching the final day of spring football practice with Saturday's Cherry and White game. The Owls have brought in many new recruits as the 2025 season approaches. One of these recruits includes a graduate quarterback who has had to overcome many setbacks in order to land on 10th and Diamond. OwlSports Update's Caroline Delaney is live outside of Edberg-Olson Hall with this impactful story. Hey, Caroline.
Hey, Sam. Perseverance is key on and off the field for any athlete with goals of succeeding at the Division I level. But for quarterback Anthony Chickett, this perseverance was about overcoming a deadly disease not once, but twice. Anthony Chickett's road to Temple University took more detours than most athletes will face in a lifetime.
It was definitely hard, but I've always had a great support system around me, a lot of great friends.
Chickett is a two-time cancer survivor. He was a junior in high school in 2019 when he noticed a lump on his shoulder. It was diagnosed as stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He completed chemotherapy, but the cancer came back 1 year later. And this time, Chickett underwent a successful stem cell transplant.
Especially, with me being in Pittsburgh and being able to be close to home and be around my dad and all my friends and stuff. I would say they helped me get through it a lot.
Much like the odds of playing quarterback at the Division I level, the odds of beating stage 4 cancer twice are incredibly slim. Anthony Chickett has managed to do both of these things. Chickett first attended Robert Morris in Pittsburgh as a walk-on, and after 2 years, he was awarded a scholarship with the Colonials and ended his senior year with more than 1,600 yards passing, along with a college degree.
I would say that even the whole city gave me a lot of support, from the media, from friends, people I didn't even know. I would say it was very helpful for me.
Chickett's success at Robert Morris brings us to the present day and his final collegiate stop at Temple as a grad student and the team's #2 quarterback.
We decided to take Anthony. That was one of the things that drew us to him, was his story about his perseverance. Just here's a kid that, don't tell him he can't do it, because he's just going to keep on pushing at it.
I've always said everything happens for a reason. Even if it's bad, you got to look at it and take the good out of it and appreciate it. It taught me a lot.
As for this season, Chickett believes his skill set will mesh well with Keeler's quick decision-making style. It's impossible to know how much time he might see this fall, but the fact that he's here and playing is easily considered a win. It's hard to know in April how much playing time Chickett will see this fall. But what we do know is he will suit up for his first official game as an Owl on August 30th against UMass Amherst. Reporting live from Edberg-Olson Hall, I'm Caroline Delaney. Sam, Sarah, back to you guys at the studio.
Thanks, Caroline. We got the opener in August, the Cherry and White spring game on Saturday. Lots of football from mid-April.
So we thought it'd be a good time to put together a spring version of Inside the Nest to catch everyone up on all things football. OwlSports Update's Kayla Levine is live at the studio set with a preview of our special set to air next Tuesday at noon on TUTV. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Sam. This 30-minute spring special will take an in-depth look at Saturday's Cherry and White game. We also sat down with head coach Casey Keeler and quarterback Evan Simon, who made the decision to stay with the Owls even after the coaching change. He still believes the Owls are not as far away from being a winning team as many may think. Thanks to some close losses last season, Simon sees the hiring of Coach Casey Keeler as one important piece.
While we're doing our mat drills, which are early in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, during our stretch, he's like, do one more lunge. You know, it's a bowl game rep. Just focusing on those inches we need to win. Like you said, one possession, one throw, one run away from, you know, having a couple more wins in the win column. And, you know, he's really emphasizing that. It's what we need. It really is.
So the thing that makes Evan so special is his leadership is just so strong. And the kids just respond to him so well. And he knows, and we've talked about, you know, we have to bring in competition at that spot, and he won't blink. You know, the great ones don't. I think this is a gold mine. I really do. I think there's just so much to offer here. And people before me have taken this place to great heights. It can be done again. And I'm just going to steal a little bit from the formula they used.
You can catch the full version of my interview with Coach Keeler and take a look at what quarterback Evan Simon has to say about his second season here at Temple. Our Cherry and White football special is live on TU TV at noon this Tuesday. It will be anchored by Sam Covone and Pat Dallahan, featuring Xavier Adams, Gabriel Winnington, and myself with everything you need to know about the spring season and the upcoming fall season. Saturday's Cherry and White game is open to the public. Every spring practice has been closed, so this is the fans' first chance to see the new head coach in action, along with a ton of new faces on this year's roster. Game time is on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Edberg Olson Hall.
You can look out for our coverage during Saturday's Cherry and White game on all of our social media platforms at OwlSports Update.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kayla. It'll be fun to reunite once again to talk about Temple football. We are up against our first break, but don't go anywhere. The men's and women's tennis teams hosted Senior Day this past Tuesday.
Plus, the women's lacrosse team took on Vanderbilt this past Saturday, and this one went down to the final few minutes. Stick around, we'll be right back.
The women's tennis team finished Senior Day on a dominant note. The Owls swept Fairleigh Dickinson 4-0 this past Tuesday. The event kicked off with doubles matchups, and Temple clinched these points with ease. The team of Ermac Ozturk and Nina Andrioni started the Owls off strong with a 6-3 win, and the other two doubles matches followed suit. The momentum carried into singles competition. Kelly Richter won the matchup at number 3 singles. Then, Ozturk secured the team victory at number 1 singles, both women taking it in straight sets.
Men's tennis also made Senior Day one to remember with a big win over Fairleigh Dickinson at home on Tuesday. Seniors Martin Marhujo and Dante Russo led the way in their final regular season home match. The Owls started strong with a close doubles win as Marhujo and Adam Cressina pulled off a 7-6 victory on court 1. While Erden and Alberto Blumenschein won 6-1 at number 2. In singles, dominated at number 3, 6-1, 6-1. Ayush Bhatt also won in straight sets at number 4. Finally, Dante Russo clinched the match at number 2 with a comeback win, 2-6, 7-6, and 6-2. Now it's off to the AAC Championship in Memphis, with Temple set to compete in the quarterfinals on Friday, April 18th at 10. The Owls are projected as the number 4 seed and expected to face the number 5 seed, Tulsa.
The lacrosse team was back on the road this past Saturday for a matchup with Vanderbilt. About 5 minutes left in the second, Amelia Wright hits the net to tie the game 7-7, her 13th goal of the year. And Rice wastes no time going for goal number 14 with an assist from Lexi Culp, giving the Owls the lead 8-7. And then it's Vanderbilt's turn. Nancy Howard gets the ball to Anna Taraboletti, who finds the net, and the game is tied up once again. Then, moving into the fourth, Temple trails by 1, but it is not for long. Sarah Gauman runs to the net and puts one in for her second goal of the game. It is all tied up at 11. But With 3 minutes left, Kempler Robinson secures the victory for the Commodores with a goal to bring the score 12-11, dropping the Owls to 2-10 on the season. Despite the loss, there is still a bright spot for the lacrosse team. After a season-high 11 saves against the Commodores, goalkeeper Colleen Baronado earned the AAC honorable mention. Despite giving up 6 goals, she achieved a save percentage of .647 in 46 minutes.
More lax news. Our very own Natalie Caranda is hitting the road once again with the lacrosse team for the final chapter of her series, Trippin' with Natalie. This time, she's heading to Norfolk, Virginia, as the team takes on Old Dominion. Natalie will give us a look into the overnight trip with the team, from staying in the hotel to team meals and preparations on the road. She'll have it all, giving you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look exactly 2 weeks from today. It's time for us to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to take a quick trip to the Schuylkill.
And that trip includes the smallest member of the men's crew team, who just happens to have the biggest voice. Stick around, OwlSports Update will be right back.
The men's crew team includes an athlete you might not expect in the men's varsity 8, mainly because she's not a man. Joining us live from the studio set once again is our very own Kayla Levine with the story. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, Sarah. In a team full of men, one woman not only holds a spot on the team's roster, but runs one of Temple's top boats, helping her team win multiple times during her 4 years here on North Broad. Grace Crosby is the one and only woman in a boat full of men.
I'm a coxswain. I sit at the front of the boat, I steer, I yell, I execute the race plan during races.
Crosby is in charge of Temple's top boat, the Varsity 8. She plays a key role in navigating the team through the waters of the Schuylkill River. And she's not only the lone female in the boat, she's also by far the smallest at just 5 feet 1 inch tall.
There were 5 other women coxswains on this team when I joined, so that was a little good support group that I had, but then they graduated or they stopped, so now it's just me. So it was hard to adapt being by myself. Sometimes it still is, because sometimes I forget they're boys.
Grace Crosby is a senior coxswain here at Temple, and not only is she on the men's crew team, but she is an intricate part of this team. Crosby and her boat of 8 other men are on the water most days around 6:30, just as the sun is rising over the city. On this mid-April day, the temperatures were in the low 30s, and that doesn't include the wind coming off the water. Crosby will be back on the water this weekend for the Schuylkill Regatta right here in Philadelphia. The biggest race of the year comes in May at the Dadville Regatta, where she will once again be one woman among many men. But make no mistake, she'll be in charge. As mentioned, you can catch Grace and the crew team on Saturday as they stay on the Schuylkill for their first invitational of the 2025 season. This is just a preview for what is to come during their spring season as they train for one of the biggest events of the year in the Dadville Regatta held in early May. It's supposed to be pretty wet this weekend, and it's also been pretty cold. The team actually moved indoors on Monday thanks to the high winds. Fingers crossed they get to compete on Saturday. Live from the studio set, I'm Kayla Levine. Sam and Sarah, guys, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. It is now time for our favorite segment that Sam and I like to call Who Gives a Hoot.
You guys picked your favorites, and for this week's edition, you all gave a hoot about Dante Russo and Sarah Gauman. So starting with tennis player Dante Russo, who took home 50% of the votes. He joined the Owls in June of 2023 after transferring in from Siena College and quickly became an important part of this tennis team. He is not only a force in singles action, but in doubles as well. During the 2023-2024 season, Russo was tied for second in singles victories and ranked second in doubles wins, as well as earning the AAC All-Academic Team honors. So far this season, he has 8 singles wins as well as 8 doubles wins. And as we mentioned before, Dante Russo's senior day was one to remember. He helped the Owls come back after a slow start and secured the victory over Fairleigh Dickinson.
For our second athlete, let me introduce you to Sarah Gauman, a key player for Temple lacrosse this season. She got exactly 30% of the vote on our poll. The sophomore midfielder from Birdsboro, PA, has been a strong player with her all-around play. Gauman leads the team with 9 assists this season and ranks second in the category just behind Lexia Culp, who has 14. Sarah recently scored her first career hat trick against ECU, and Gauman also is 4th overall on the team with goals scored with 13. With her skill and determination, Sarah is definitely a player to keep an eye on as Temple lacrosse continues towards its final few games of the regular season. That wraps up this edition of Who Gives a Hoot. Stay tuned for our final edition of this segment when our last show airs on April 24th.
Make sure to watch out on our X account at OwlSports Update for the final poll coming out prior to the show in 2 weeks. But it is now time for our last break of the show. When we come back, we'll take a look at a program that pumps athletes up.
Don't run away. OwlSports Update will be back in just 90 seconds.
Welcome back. It takes a lot more than practice to be ready for a game day, and that's where Temple's strength and conditioning program comes into play. No matter whether it's in season or off season, the work continues with the goal of keeping athletes in the best shape throughout the entire year.
A successful game day or meet cannot come without preparation. For the Olympic sports at Temple University, that preparation comes through the Strength and Conditioning Program, also known as the Iron Owls.
You're going to have challenging things that are going to happen, all right? Let's be able to persevere and get stronger.
Gymnastics is one of more than a dozen teams at Temple taking advantage of the 11,000 square foot facility. It includes 16 squat racks,
start with this, and then if it feels good, build to 85.
along with more than 18,000 pounds of weights. Each team's program is specific to their sport.
Everyone sticks to the foundational movements. We all kind of squat, hinge, push, pull. All change certain things in the accessory work based off the demands of the sports.
During the off-season, the goal is to keep athletes strong, explosive, and ready for competition all year round. This includes prioritizing nutrition and recovery. Keeping up the intensity is key. Rashawn's motto is to stimulate but not annihilate.
Strength and conditioning coaches work closely with head coaches of each team to make sure that each lift aligns with the team's goals and capabilities.
You have to have a strong bond with that coach, have weekly meetings. Hey, do we need to practice through this? Is this a match or a meet that we really need to prioritize?
The Iron Owls run their program 5 days a week at all times of the day, depending on the individual team's schedule. With help from coaches and staff, athletes are able to stay at the top of their game throughout the year.
1, 2, 3, Temple! That is all the time that we have for this edition of OwlSports Update. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday at noon for our Inside the Nest Cherry and White special.
For everyone in TV Studio 3, I'm Sarah Winton, she's Sam Covone. Have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for joining us.